Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 4 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that made me question everything. Story 1. My rich life is ruining my family. So I'm accidentally tearing my brother's family apart with money, and I don't know what to do about it. Let me explain. I'm 40 years old and I got incredibly lucky in tech. I joined a startup early that ended up being worth over $1 billion when it sold. I'm not a billionaire, but let's just say I'm very comfortable now. I have a small family and I love sharing my good fortune with them. My older brother Isaac has a 14-year-old daughter Grace from a previous relationship. Grace lives mostly with her mom but spends weekends with Isaac and his current wife Sarah, who has 3 kids from her previous marriage. Now here's where it gets complicated. I absolutely adore Grace. She's smart, funny, and we have this amazing bond. So naturally, I spoil her. I pay for her private school tuition, which runs about $60,000 a year. I take her on incredible vacations during school breaks. We've been to Europe, Asia, you name it. I buy her nice clothes, the latest gadgets, basically whatever she wants within reason. To me, this feels natural. She's my niece, I have the money, why wouldn't I want to give her the best life possible? But apparently, I'm causing major problems at home. Sarah is furious because her 3 kids, who are 10, 12, and 15, see all the amazing things Grace gets and they feel left out. They're asking why Grace gets to go to private school while they're stuck in public school. Why does she get to travel the world while they stay home? Why does she have designer clothes while they shop at Target? Isaac is caught in the middle and the tension in their house is getting really bad. Sarah confronted me last month and basically demanded that if I'm going to spoil Grace, I need to do the same for her kids. She said it's not fair and it's causing resentment and jealousy. She even suggested I should tone down what I do for Grace so the other kids don't feel bad. I told her that while I understand her concern, these aren't my kids and I don't have the same relationship with them that I have with Grace. Grace is my blood relative and I've known her since she was born. I also pointed out that if I started paying for everything for Sarah's kids too, where does it end? Do I pay for every kid in every family I'm connected to? The thing is, I can see both sides. I don't want to hurt those kids or cause problems in the family. But I also don't think it's fair that I should have to limit what I do for Grace just because other people can't provide the same things for their children. Isaac is torn because he loves seeing his daughter have these opportunities, but he also has to live with the daily drama at home. Sarah's kids are starting to resent Grace, which breaks my heart because none of this is her fault. Grace has even started feeling guilty about the things I give her, which is the last thing I wanted. I've tried compromising by occasionally including Sarah's kids in smaller things, like taking them all to dinner or a local event, but Sarah says that's not enough. She wants full equality or nothing. The whole situation is making family gatherings awkward and I can see it's putting a strain on Isaac's marriage. Part of me wonders if I should just back off completely, but then I think about Grace missing out on opportunities just to keep the peace. Am I really wrong for wanting to give my niece the best life I can afford? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. My best friend ruined our dream trip. My best friend just had a complete meltdown on the first day of our vacation, and honestly, I'm wondering if I should have just enjoyed myself without her. So my best friend, let's call her Rachel, and I have been close for 13 years. We used to be inseparable, but over time we've grown into very different people. Her conversations are mostly about celebrity gossip and judging people's appearances, and whenever I try to have deeper conversations, she just calls them boring. I've stayed friends with her mainly because of our history together. 3 years ago, we went on a trip and it was an absolute disaster. She threw a complete fit on day 1 because she didn't like the photos I took of her. She gave me the silent treatment for the entire trip and made everything so uncomfortable. I swore I'd never travel with her again. But recently, we'd been getting along better, so when she suggested we take a trip together, I thought maybe things would be different this time. I was so wrong. We planned this amazing getaway that we'd both been looking forward to for months. We're talking about the kind of trip you see on Instagram: beautiful location, perfect weather, everything lined up perfectly. Day one arrives and we're both excited, taking pictures, having a good time initially. Then something shifted. I'm not even sure what triggered it exactly, but Rachel started getting moody. She began nitpicking everything. The hotel room wasn't right, the weather was too hot, the food wasn't what she expected. But the breaking point came when we were taking photos again. I was trying to get some good shots of both of us, and apparently, she didn't like how she looked in them. Instead of just asking me to retake them or showing me better angles, she completely lost it. She started yelling at me about how I never take good photos of her, how I don't care about how she looks, and how I'm a terrible friend. She accused me of deliberately making her look bad in photos, which is completely ridiculous. I actually put a lot of effort into taking nice pictures of her. The whole scene was so embarrassing because we were in public and people were starting to stare. After her outburst, she stormed off back to the hotel room and refused to come out. She wouldn't talk to me, wouldn't participate in any of the activities we'd planned, and basically shut down completely. I tried apologizing even though I didn't think I'd done anything wrong, but she wasn't having it. So here's where I might be the problem. After trying to fix things for the first day and getting nowhere, I decided I wasn't going to let her ruin my entire vacation. I'd saved up for this trip, planned for months, and I was in this beautiful place. I started doing the activities we'd planned, but by myself. I went to the museums, tried the local restaurants, took the scenic tours, everything. I actually had an amazing time. I posted some photos on social media of me enjoying the trip, and apparently, that made Rachel even more angry. She said I was being inconsiderate and that a good friend would have stayed with her and tried to work things out. She claimed I abandoned her when she was having a hard time. But here's the thing, I did try to work it out initially. I spent hours trying to talk to her, apologizing, asking what I could do to fix it. She just kept shutting me down and being hostile. I felt like I had two choices: sit in the hotel room for the entire vacation while she sulked, or go out and salvage what I could of the trip I'd paid for. When we got back home, she told mutual friends that I was selfish and unsupportive. Some of them think I should have been more patient with her, especially since she was clearly going through something emotional. But others think she was being manipulative and that I had every right to enjoy my vacation. The whole situation has me questioning our entire friendship. This is the second trip she's ruined with her behavior, and I'm starting to see a pattern. Should I have been more understanding of whatever she was going through, or was I right to not let her emotional outburst control my entire vacation? Story 3. I called out my girlfriend's depression tactics. So I think I might have just ended my relationship by pointing out a pattern in my girlfriend's behavior, and I'm not sure if I'm completely wrong here. My girlfriend has depression, and most of the time it's managed pretty well. I want to be clear that I understand depression is a real illness and I've always tried to be supportive. But I've started noticing something that's really bothering me. It seems like she weaponizes her illness to get her own way or to cancel plans for things that I've chosen for us to do. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. We'll be sitting at home in the evening and I'll suggest something for us to do or watch, and she'll immediately say she's not feeling great and wants to do something else instead. If I say okay fine, what do you want to do, suddenly she perks up and has all these ideas. But if I push back even a little bit and say I'd really like to do what I originally suggested, she gets upset and says I'm not being understanding of her mental health. This happens constantly. Another example, we'll make plans to go somewhere that I'm excited about, maybe a new restaurant I've been wanting to try or an event I've been looking forward to. The day comes and suddenly she's having a bad mental health day and can't go. But then the next day, she's totally fine and wants to make plans to do something she's interested in. I started keeping track, and this pattern happens way more often when it's something I've chosen versus something she wants to do. The breaking point came last weekend. We had tickets to see a band that I really love. I'd been looking forward to this for months, bought the tickets weeks in advance, made a whole evening of it. The day of the concert, she tells me she's having anxiety and doesn't think she can go. I was frustrated, but I said okay, we can stay home, no problem. But then an hour later, her friend calls and invites her to a party, and suddenly she's feeling much better and wants to go out. When I pointed out that it seemed convenient that she felt better as soon as there was something she wanted to do, she got really angry. That's when I made the mistake of telling her about the pattern I'd noticed. I explained that it seemed like her mental health issues conveniently flared up whenever we were supposed to do something I wanted to do, but she was always fine when it was her idea. I told her it felt like she was using her depression as an excuse to control our plans. She completely lost it. She said I was being insensitive and that I clearly didn't understand how depression works. She accused me of minimizing her mental health struggles and said I was being selfish. She's been giving me the cold shoulder for days now, and some of our mutual friends think I crossed a line. Here's the thing though, I'm not saying her depression isn't real. I know it is, and I've seen her struggle with it genuinely. But I also think it's possible for someone to unconsciously use their mental health issues in manipulative ways. I've been supportive for over a year, I've canceled plans when she needed me to, I've been patient when she's having bad days. But this pattern is really hard to ignore. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I'm just seeing things that aren't there because I'm frustrated. Maybe depression really does work in ways that I don't understand, and the timing is just coincidental. Or maybe I'm picking up on something real but I handled it in completely the wrong way. I do love her and I want to support her, but I also feel like I can't bring up legitimate concerns about our relationship without being accused of not understanding her mental health. I don't know if I should apologize and pretend I never noticed this pattern, or if I was right to bring it up even though I maybe could have done it more sensitively. Was I wrong to point out what seemed like a clear pattern, or am I just being manipulated? Story 4. Family wants me to financially ruin myself for college dreams. So my wife and I are having a massive fight about our son's college plans, and honestly, I don't know if I'm being realistic or just crushing his dreams. We have 4 kids, and our oldest is finishing his junior year of high school. This kid is absolutely incredible. He's currently ranked 3rd in his class but thinks he can hit number 2 before graduation. He's maxed out on AP courses, has a perfect GPA, amazing test scores, tons of volunteer hours at the animal shelter, and he even created and runs an animal science club at school. He's in honor society, does the spring musical, runs track, and wants to be a veterinarian. Basically, he's the kind of kid any parent would be proud of. Now here's the problem. He's got his heart set on some really expensive schools. We're talking about places that cost $60,000 to $80,000 a year. With 4 years of undergrad plus vet school, we're looking at potentially $500,000 in total costs. My wife thinks we should just figure it out and let him apply wherever he wants. She says he's worked so hard and deserves to follow his dreams without worrying about money. But here's our reality. I make decent money, but we're solidly middle class with 4 kids. We've got some savings, but nothing close to what these schools would cost. We make too much to qualify for need-based financial aid at most places, but not nearly enough to actually afford these schools without destroying our financial future. I sat down and ran the numbers every possible way. Even if he got some merit scholarships, we'd still be looking at taking out massive loans. We're talking about debt that would take decades to pay off and would impact our ability to help our other 3 kids with college, not to mention our own retirement. I told my wife that I think we need to have an honest conversation with our son about the financial realities before he starts applying to schools. I suggested we help him research more affordable options, maybe state schools with good pre-vet programs, or schools where he'd be likely to get significant merit aid. I want him to know upfront what we can realistically afford so he can make informed decisions about where to apply. My wife thinks I'm being too negative and that I'm potentially limiting his opportunities before we even know what kind of aid he might get. She says we should let him apply everywhere he wants and then figure out the finances after he gets accepted. She keeps saying things like other families make it work and we'll find a way. But I've seen too many families destroy themselves financially trying to pay for expensive colleges. I've seen parents who are still paying off their own kids' college loans 20 years later, who couldn't retire when they wanted to, who couldn't help their other children because they overspent on the first one. I don't want that to be us. The thing is, I'm not trying to crush his dreams. There are plenty of excellent, more affordable schools where he could get a great education and still become a veterinarian. Some state schools have fantastic pre-vet programs and vet schools. He's smart enough and accomplished enough that he'd probably get good merit scholarships at schools where he'd be a top applicant. But my wife sees any suggestion of considering cost as me not believing in our son or not prioritizing his future. She thinks I'm being too practical and not dreaming big enough. Our son knows something's up because we keep having these tense conversations that stop when he walks into the room. I feel like we're doing him a disservice by not being honest about our financial situation. How is he supposed to make good decisions if he doesn't have all the information? But I also don't want to burden him with adult financial stress or make him feel like his dreams aren't important to us. The guidance counselor at school keeps sending home information about college planning and financial aid, and it's clear that they expect families to have these conversations early. Most of his friends are already talking about where they're applying and their family's financial constraints or lack thereof. I just think we need to be realistic about what we can afford without destroying our financial stability. Am I wrong for wanting to have this conversation now, or should we just let him dream big and deal with the financial reality later? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.